sačekam prezentaciju, neću znati mojom prošlošću. Moja relevantnost za ovaj skup je zato što sam u nekih 16 godina što sam se bavio u San Francisku raznim tehnologijama, pomagao sam dosta muzičara, među kojima U2, Madonna, Jay-Z i sličnim, i gomila ti nekih stvari koje smo mi s njima radili, danas se primjenjuju masovno na neke nove načine koje ćemo pokriti. Evo ga prezentacija. Nisam htio o ovome da pričam, međutim kad je krenulo ovo sve, počeli smo dobivati neke intervjue. Htio sam jednu stvar da obratim pažnju, a to je mit da tehnologija u stvari je loša za muziku. Je taj mit, ako pogledate istoriju na brzaka, svaki put kada je tehnologija donosila novi mini distribucije, svaki put je donijelo više i više slušaoca, došlo je do više ljudi i negdje 1990. je se sve digitalizovalo. I trenutna priča koja kruži je da prepolovila je kada je Apple uveo da ne možeš kupovati album, nego se kupuju samo singli, prepolovila se ukupni novac koji je išao. I apologize, is there any people that doesn't understand me in English? Is everybody okay if I switch to English for those people? Okay, so somewhere through it, pretty much model switch from the album, buy even songs that you might not like, to buying only songs that you like, and that cut total number in the industry in half. On top of that, around 2004, since everything went digital, singles that were now being sold primarily went from $5 to $1.50. And on top of that, people wanted to listen to music for free, like on Spotify and other services. And if you look that music is ahead of other industries, like movies, creative industries, like movies, books, newspapers, magazine, sounds like there's no hope at all and everything is going to hell. And when you see that even musicians like, in this case, Jay-Z went and started streaming themselves, one is left with this big message of panic. Instead of that, what I want to do is offer alternative way of thinking and get a little bit deeper into details. And simple way to think about it is each time there was a change in the distribution model, old industry was dying off, dinosaurs were screaming that it's the end of the world, and new people jump on the new industry and they enjoy to benefit from it, to grow their user base and their wealth as well. If you look into details until 2012, when that was happening, and this was streaming, everybody was screaming. Singles grew so much that actually the total amount in the industry was actually bigger. It just changed from the physical media into the download media. If you look in more recent years, this digital trend is going even further, and slowly download is slowing down, and streaming is replacing it. And then this year. Pretty much even download is going down, physical is obviously going down, but streaming is increasing as total amount in the industry. Forecasts, streaming will pretty much take over. There'll be still people that prefer physical stuff, but streaming will be taking on more and more industry. An interesting thing about streaming, which nobody's talking about, that people on average are actually spending more money now as they are paying subscription. So average is $120 per user, so which was much lower before streaming. In order to understand what happened is pretty much before when you were publishing CD. How many of you are performers here? If you could raise hand. How many of you are distribution labels? Rarely, okay. And then authors? Okay. So pretty much you had research and development artists, you have cost of mixing, factory, quality insurance, packaging, trucks were driving around, you had warehouse, you have retail stores, you have distribution, international, local, marketing, lawyers, legal departments, advocates, and so on and so on. And because on top of that shelf space was limited, whole industry was working around 1% of superstars, and pretty much 70% of the wealth went to the 1% of the musicians. And if you look typical album back in the days, pretty much this was a breakdown where label took about $10, retailer like Virgin Records would take around $5.50, artists get around $2, and authors would get around $1. In process, that looks something like this. What happened since then is pretty much model change. Around 2000 start, around 2007 became de facto standard. Artists pretty much now use digital for promotion, for digital distribution, for selling, touring, merchandise, and retailing online, and so on. Everything moved to the internet. And then these are the, if you break down the digital as well, you'll see that there's some ad streams which are pretty much new replacement for a lot of radios. There's subscription kicking in, and that thing is changing. And these are the streaming services prediction pretty much is going to explode. These are all official sources. What else changes the rise of bedroom producers, and pretty much most of the studios are still being used, but there's a lot more music being created because now it's accessible to others. Scouting changed the view counts and similar services where even the official labels are now scouting using YouTube's and similar services. Factories were eliminated and a bunch of other stuff in the process. And everything went digital. Now you have developers, you have designers, you have promoters online, you have servers that you need to pay and maintain, system administrators, so on. So cost moved from what used to be cost of distribution into these new replacements for the stores. But if you look at actual earnings that these guys are having, although revenue is growing like crazy, they are still not making any money. And this is something that gets really weird to explain. And this is an answer to what really happened and why this meat exists. So each time there was new technology. Back in the tape, this was story. People start using it ahead of the official channels and they start distributing music. Same thing happened with CD. Labels came together to fight it. Same thing happened with the torrent and streaming services. And then as streaming services are kicking in, I think this has been carrying it over a little bit. But the reality is this. This is Norway. As you see, streaming is growing up, piracy is dropping because people are not really lazy and they don't mind paying for the music. They just mind driving to the store, buying CD, driving back, ripping the CD on computers that don't have CDs anymore, pushing them at their mobile phones and so on. And the result of that is in 2040 compared to 2009 from 80 to 4% in piracy in Norway. And this is a trend that's spreading to the world. Convenience is pretty much winning. And it's taking over. And this is like gravitation. This will stay around. This is not going to change. Convenience will always win. It's been through the history. So fighting it makes no sense. Jumping on a trend and figuring how to use it makes more sense. One thing to pay attention is the distribution is still same, although a lot of the stuff moved to the guys that are actually selling music, and labels have opportunity now to jump on the trend and change their ways because there are still one on average that are taking most of the cake. To push that even further, Apple pays as much as 73% back. So if you are like self-publishing artist, self-promoting artist, that's something that you can get compared to say 7% that you used to back in the days. And I will not spend too much on this. Everybody tells you the same story. This is like radio, it's for promotion. Real money is being made on live performances. I will not go into that story because you heard it many times. What I do want to cover is cool stuff that are actually happening in technology that you could use to help yourself in many different ways. And these are successful stories. So what changed first is like you have a pre-group before and you would get promoted because somebody let you in. Now you can get promoted with single tweet. This is example that Carly Jepsen got promoted by a single tweet by Justin Bieber. I don't listen either, but this is the new trend. You can attach yourself to the big names by doing covers and have a public audience. Everybody knows these stories, but most of these big stars today that are moving a shaky market were made that way, regardless if label signed them up or they did themselves. Remixes on SoundCloud is a good example where you attach yourself to Ed Sheeran in this case. Kygo make himself from the single remix. He didn't need anybody to promote himself. Bloggers, this is another example. Martin made himself by pushing it through the bloggers. Same story. Even something as 6 seconds Vine clip made somebody by doing cover of Justin Bieber, Sean Mendes in this case. And these are the new ways and it's changing, and regardless if you are artist yourself or you are agency or label that are trying to jump on new ways, these are the ways that work, and they are actually primary ways that are slowly moving from the US to Europe, and eventually it will come here. People that, biggest names, sometimes they made themselves completely. I love story of Ed Sheeran that he did 2 indies. In UK, he was playing like musicians should. Then he moved to LA, keep playing, sometimes as homeless guy, and eventually when he went solo album on iTunes, he went all the way to the #2 album that made him. Macklemore is a similar story. Lindsay that used the gaming community, she was signed on a label and then she dropped it and went to the YouTube, the community on YouTube made herself same way. So there is a new way and there's new opportunity for musicians all around. Some of them are really working the internet. Example is Shakira that lean on football and similar stuff, but she also posting in English, Spanish, German, French, Russian, and other languages, and she has like biggest audience on Facebook. Site with most likes on the Facebook is her, but she's actually working it using internet as a global platform for herself. How many of you know what's a long tail and 1,000 true fans theory? Nobody, okay. So Taylor Swift is working that theory. Pretty much theory goes that if you look this graph on the right, it's a long tail as they call it. Pretty much everybody on the left is these hit records, superstars. But on the left, thanks to the new way of distribution, because now you are not limited by shelf space, small artists can actually show the case themselves on YouTube's, iTunes, and Spotify's of this world, and they have now their own little opportunity. And theory goes that if you have 1,000 true fans, now you don't need these like zillion. Before you would be $1,000,000 artist or you would not exist at all. Now with 1,000 fans, and I'll show examples how you can actually survive as musicians. You just need to have 1,000 people that love your music and are willing to support her. Taylor is a good example. She started that way, but she's still working it even as she grows. She's like making parties where she invites all her fans and then they hit Twitter for her and publish her albums big time. So finally YouTube is pushing this big time, so I'll just play this video.
Can you give me a tiny bit more vocal, please? I'll be honest, to begin with, I was nervous. It's just you feel a bit naked, like putting yourself out there for everybody to see. Hello, everyone. What's up, everybody?
I'm Damien. I'm the singer in OK Go.
I think the fan and artist relationship has got a lot closer.
You can really mean a lot to a small group of people and have that be as rewarding as anything else.
The ability to be able to engage directly with your fans all the time is incredible.
As long as I'm making some people happy, as long as some people are enjoying it, then why not? Hey, Kelly. I'm sad that you're not here to see me today. I love you.
We're grateful for the opportunity we have to go out and to perform.
When I saw those first strings of comments coming through of people requesting everything from covers to more videos to more originals, and it was so exciting. These people all found me because their friends shared my video or because they randomly searched something and I popped up, and so they feel like they're kind of a part of my story because they are.
The way the artists are getting their fans involved more into it, it feels like the fans are a part of the journey as well.
It's been great to see a lot of artists actually reaching out and saying, what do you think about this record?
That type of feedback feels a lot more inspiring to us. Our creativity and the things that we wanted to work on didn't have to be sort of endpoints, where it was like, we do this, what do you do with it?
I remember the first time somebody sent me the link of a video of them singing one of my songs. I find it so inspirational when fans do things like that.
As I travel across the world and I get to meet these people that say that my music has touched them or it's helped them, and that's what it's really all about at the end of the day, is being able to connect with people through what I love to do.
So this is something exactly what we used to do for the big names. Pretty much there was premium side of the sites, and then users would get backstage and special recordings, early songs. Now this is becoming total mainstream. And what makes me personally happy, because I'm out of the industry for a while, I'm doing something else these days, is that I'm seeing even labels are starting to use that approach. And this is an example where label is actually doing something smart on one of the biggest bands in the world. Avicii is another good example where they pretty much went and engaged the whole community, and this is done by label, and I want to play this one.
Avicii, one of the world's most premier DJs. But he wasn't always. Just a few years ago, he started out producing music in his bedroom. So when Universal Music asked us to create a global campaign to promote the DJ, we kept this in mind. Universal Music has seen its industry transform from discs to digital in just a decade, with their role no longer to print records, but instead to build a following for their artists. We wanted to create more engagement than just a like, share, or a video play. something that really got people involved, but also something that could live on longer than just an online stunt. Our idea? Ask bedroom producers all over the world to collaborate with Avicii on his next single, creating both the world's largest music collaboration and giving bedroom producers a real shot at global fame. Here's how it worked. To kick off the project, we released a teaser on YouTube to reach out to the online music community, directing people to the campaign site. Once there, they were asked to collaborate with Avicii by uploading their own musical contributions in 5 sessions over 5 weeks: melody, bass line, beat, break, and effects. Then, from each session, Avicii himself selected 3 finalists, and followers of the campaign were asked to vote a winner, or featured producer. To create even more engagement, we added a gamification element where fans could earn titles from rookie to featured producer and win prizes ranging from DJ headphones to official credits on the single. Weekly episodes with Avicii commenting on the contributions, video interviews with the winners, a daily blog and Twitter account were used to keep people tuned in. And once all 5 sessions were complete and 5 featured producers selected, Avicii got to work on producing the final cut. The results? By the end of the project, a total number of 4,199 producers from 140 countries contributed with 12,850 sounds, an interaction far more powerful than any click or like. The campaign was featured by worldwide media, online, offline, and radio. It was mentioned over 20,000 times on Twitter and earned 3.3 million views on YouTube, with a total media reach of over 100 million and counting. And the best part? The collaboration, entitled Avicii Featuring You, became a global success, streaming over 25 million times, engaging bedroom producers, dance floors, and global arenas all over the world.
And this went so far that pretty much now you have Oscars, where equivalent of the Oscars for the best engagement of public in US. Once you want to get smart, pretty much you have to think of where you want to push your music, which channels, and obviously if you are going after young ones, it's probably Snapchat is best, but if you are like Beatles kind of guy, you might even consider CD these days. But this is usually not good enough, and what these new streaming services allow you to do is pretty much get deep understanding of who are your listeners, exactly to the point where they're coming from, what they are listening, what are the age groups. This example of that was Spotify, this is YouTube, this is Pandora, one of my favorites. It's pretty much, it will give you even a breakdown per city of how much listeners are listening to the music, and that's something internet does allow you to do, and then you can connect and be smarter about how to work together with your fans. And before I close, I have 2 more points. Pretty much one is digital fundraising. I think the labels slowly are moving from what they used to do into the PR, event organizers, and the funding roles. But these are the couple of things that you as young gay artists can tap into yourself. Example of self-funded people, as I mentioned, there's a ad, there's a like more that most of them are still, even they succeed by themselves, they are still at one point taking money from the labels, but in this case as a VC, where they need big chunks of cash so they can go for the global tours, but they are in much better negotiating power, so they just borrow money for the percentage of the earned tickets. But if you are small, and some of you probably are or know some, there's a super funds theory. And it's not theory, it's happening actually in the practice, and there's a new way to fund yourself. And everybody heard here, I'm sure, of Kickstarter as one way to go about it. But Kickstarter itself, it's not necessarily made for musicians. So there's a sites that are now popping up that are musician specifics. One of them that's probably most successful is Pledge Music, and something interesting happens on these sites. If you look, the blue thing is pretty much how much pre-orders you get from the iTunes. And that tells you that your fans and your true fans want to help you to release your stuff because they are paying upfront and you are using that money to publish your music and record it. But if you go to the sites like Pledge Music or Kickstarter and give these people option to help you even more, they are very willing to, and on average they are giving them up to $61 right now in US through the different means, different stuff of signing up, little merchants upfront. Pretty much people that are your true fans, they want you to publish your next album, and they are pushing, and that's the new one of the new models to fund yourself, and works even in Europe very well. And there's now even more sites like Celebrand, Patreon, and similar. And eventually, back to the YouTube, even they got into the game where they are allowing now for people to contribute their favorite artists to help them out on their path. And I'll again play just
The world we live in is just wildly shifted from 10, 20 years ago.
You know, Pandora's box is kind of opened, and I think the world is ready for anything.
There's more opportunity for an up-and-coming artist than there ever has been before. So it's up to the artist now to pioneer the path.
So you got to make sure that you take advantage of whatever outlet it is that you're given to get your name out there, to get your audience built.
Today, the internet gives you your own record label.
You don't need very much equipment to record high quality material. You just need to know how to really work it and make it sound great.
Unlike years ago, you can be a completely self-made artist.
You don't need anybody but yourself to really make something happen.
Stick with your artistic vision. That's the most important thing.
If you do that, there's plenty of services there's a big trend coming up, and I'm sure it's coming really soon into the Croatia as well, pretty much where you upload your music and just distribute to the now, tens and tens of the different channels where you used to have only one before. But there's also alternative ways of making money. In this example of the games. And the last thing I want to say is, although a lot of people think as Apple, as somebody that's changing music, they're actually a big follower. Company, for example, that I credit a lot for is Pandora. That's not available in Europe at all, but it's available in US. And right now they are getting themselves into the businesses. So these are the streaming services for spas, for restaurants and so on. And this is opportunity, I think, a big one for Croatia. They are into cars. They are into all kind of different devices wherever they can stream. And they are getting even into the ticketing world because it's really convenient. Just as before you would buy the MP3, right, where you are listening, now you can buy tickets for the concerts and so on. And lastly, just if you do want to stay ahead of the trends, if you want to look for what's coming next, always look for the next level of convenience. And this is example of what's getting now.
Alexa, tell me the news.
NASA unveiled amazing new images of Pluto today, unveiling a surprisingly...
Alexa, how far is Pluto from Earth?
4.67 billion miles.
Alexa, play my road trip playlist.
He's going the distance. He's going for speed.
So in the world where you'll be starting your music by your voice, I doubt there'll be any chance of CD. So my advice is to look forward. And I want to close, although there's a lot of the close to the story from the beginning, although everybody is saying that these companies are bad for musicians. I want to close with Dr. Dre's story on this subject that last year sold for $3 billion to the Apple, which is the most paid musician gig ever in the history of the music. Once it comes to Europe, can I ask you something? Raise your right hand as much as you can, all of you. And then do it a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And the reason why I'm doing this is we are always limited in our mind of what we can do, but interesting thing that's happening in Europe right now is that all streaming services, for some reason, happen to be in Europe, including Spotify and others. And it's trend for some reason, it's because Europeans like that kind of stuff more, but it's a big trend in Europe. I think there's a huge opportunity. And once you come to Croatia, a lot of times you would hear that, okay, this is English market, we can't touch it. But I want to just draw attention to something. There's 3.8 million of Croatians that have rights to Croatian passport outside of Croatia. 1 million of them still fluently speaking Croatian, and 500,000 of them will buy literally anything you put made in Croatia stamp on it. So it's great little market to start playing with this new stuff, and they're all used to paying these Western ways. So something that you could exploit as a musician and connect with them in the best possible way. And then if you do have that market, and if there's another market, somebody that's willing to play with electronic music or English like ABBA back in the days, then you just need technologists, and that's where we comes in. I want to just show you what we did in Sarajevo, of all places in the world, to bring that technology. We dreamed about an environment where young people flourish. Then we stopped dreaming and created a place where talent is supported and hard work rewarded.
On behalf of Mistral Technologies, with a great pleasure I can say that this 2014 was one of the most successful years since we had been established. As far as the Hub 387 goes, I can say that it's a great benefit, it's a great addition to the IT sector and the job that we do.
In March 2014, Authority Partners started an internship program within Hub 387 for all those that are passionate about programming and interested in working with cutting-edge technologies. This is Authority Partners' way of giving back to local community for talented and hard-working students.
Purple Key creative agency specialized in post-production and video and photography. We entered the Boston market, joining a hub community, what brings us really high achievement, especially showing these people that also in Bosnia and Herzegovina is able to work in an amazing environment as this one.
The Embassy of Sweden in Sarajevo is really happy to have partnered up with the team here at Hub 387. We're also very glad that the young talented people in Bosnia and Herzegovina get the support that they need here at the Hub.
Academy 387 started off just a couple of months ago, and we already managed to become the leading teaching institution in the region, offering courses such as user experience design and Swift programming language for Apple mobile apps.
One of the main goals of Academy 387 has been to strengthen local IT companies by providing the knowledge and the skill set for their current and future employees.
Nestorton is just more than a co-working space. It has become a family and community of its own for all of us.
The first generation of our startup shall produce apps that will be the first of this kind in the world.
To be competitive, we focus on current technologies often ahead of the world trends. One of the trends we have expertise in are smart cities technologies. Smart Sarajevo will create many small businesses and quality jobs. The best part is, it ensures good living for the people of our city. And what came out of that is That was last year, 2040. We made environment. There was 19 companies. Now there's 25, and some of the companies that are doing some stuff there are pretty incredible. This is something called aeroponics. I know it's unrelated, but I want to show you how far you can go if you do push that hand up. This is vegetable grown completely without soil in the air. This is new version that's being done. It looks like apple. This is the big beehive. There's 96 hives inside, fully done electronic by same kids, local kids here. None of this was imported from outside. And then we attacked even bigger problems. I want to show you one last one, and then I'll tell you why I'm.
Our city is alive, breathing and pulsing with energy, in synergy with its people. We use technology each day to connect us and improve our lives.
This is what a sunny day in Sarajevo looks like. Now it's time to use technology to make our city a smarter, cleaner place to live. Smart cities are built on smart technology.
Smart cities make our lives easier.
Smart cities make living more affordable.
Smart cities react to their environment.
They unite us and make us healthier and happier.
Smart cities are popping up everywhere, especially in smaller cities like Sarajevo. We have already started working on Smart Sarajevo and want to build it by 2020. Big players like IBM, Apple, and Arduino are on board.
Now we need you. The CTS Hackathon is a call for the best developers, engineers, and hackers to build next-generation smart city startups.
The winners will get funding, salaries, and ownership in the startups. They will also get a MacBook Pro, a cool office space, and a high-tech lab, plus mentoring by pros from San Francisco.
So if you are one of the best in this city, best in this region, then join us on the March 7th for 2 weekends of workshops with the best experts in the field and insane hacking competitions. Together, we can do more, and that's why I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
I'm definitely in. I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm definitely in.
I'm in.
So we did that and did it in a specific way. Pretty much one day we organize, we solve 5 biggest problems in the industry. We bring people how they solved in the world and apply this to the music. Second day we train, we call them Zero to Hero. We train local kids to, in the morning they come, they don't know how to build up, they walk out with the app, they walk out with the electronic device or server platform. And then for next week in 48 hours, they actually make solutions. And I'll not bother you with little details, but I'll tell you that we did the same thing in Dubrovnik. We did it in May, and since May, last week, Dubrovnik was voted, thanks to those kids' solutions, not to us, the best smart city, most innovative city out of 60 that were signed up, and there was the Split and Šibenik that joined the effort. And the reason why I'm telling you all of this is that those local kids know how to solve these problems technically, they do need support, and thanks to, can you raise your hand, please? Ante here is pretty much opening the same thing here in Zagreb, where one of the things that they will probably attack and try to solve is the music industry. So if you need any information, talk to him. Thank you very much, and that's what I'll close with.